Una silla de masajes puede parecer extravagante. 8 configuraciones diferentes, intensidad ajustable, además es calefaccionado. Y se siente tan bien. Sí, una silla de masajes puede parecer extravagante. Y 2, bueno, aún más. Pero cuando esas sillas de masajes vienen con un auto, se vuelven bastante prácticas. El nuevo Volkswagen Tiguan 2025 con funciones premium como los asientos delanteros con masaje disponibles. Solo parece extravagante.
News team, assemble!
It's back and bigger than ever. It's the Unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carey, Josh, Eddie, and
George.
All right, welcome back. It is the Unofficial 40 podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com podcast, where the entire gang has finally joined us, and the Vegas odds are in. Who is the most likely Scoop member to be invited to the Kelce Swift wedding? I think Josh has got the best chance because he's got girls. Maybe they can start. I don't know if she does a whole lot of social media. I don't think she does. So I don't think they're going to be able to reach her there.
Carey, I wondered if your connection to Creed Humphrey could help in this situation. Like if that could kind of get you in the door.
Well, you've dealt with Creed all throughout recruiting. You have better chance than I would. He probably hates me because everybody said I was his dad for so long.
I'm pretty sure Lainey would knife me for an invite to that wedding. Like, she would end my life just to be at that wedding.
You know who she's friends with?
Who?
That we know. The Followells. She's come to their concerts and stuff. We were asking Jared yesterday. Are they going to get an invite? We were asking Jared yesterday if he's going to get an invite. I think there's a chance.
Okay, I'm going to check my records and make sure I don't have Jared's home address anywhere in my house just to protect his safety. I want him to be able to attend the wedding and not be looking over his shoulder.
So, it's best if your daughters don't find out that he's attending.
100%. Lainey obviously was in school when all that news broke. She got in the car. I told her, and almost broke every window in my car screaming. It was a big deal.
This is how insane it was. So in Oklahoma City, kids can't take their phones to school anymore.
Same.
Curtis Fitzpatrick's daughter found a way to text her mom in the middle of school about it. I don't know. Curtis didn't explain how it happened, but she obviously got a hold of somebody's cell phone because she had to text her mom.
That's unbelievable.
I'm glad we were so busy yesterday. The madness just kind of passed. Does Aaron care about this stuff, George?
Yes, she does. Also, OU kicks off in 3 days. So, super.
Oh my God.
I couldn't care less.
I'm
excited for football.
Comment whore is what you are.
No, I'm excited for football.
Because all the people that are talk sports, they love it when you say, I just want to talk football.
I do, though, because it's
Get off
here.
the pod. That's never what the Unofficial 40 has really been about.
I'll get off the pod.
Are we doing a dare here? Why do you want to fight?
I don't want to fight.
Every week now, you just want to fight. It's unbelievable.
I'm not looking for a fight. I just, I don't really, I missed it. Aaron did text me about it.
This is like a big part of your life, I would assume. You don't want to share that with the group? With the listeners that
Hold on. What are you doing right now? What are you talking about? I said Aaron.
I just wanted to know how it played in the Stoya household last night.
We talked about it very briefly, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's cool." I mean, there's not some big thing to dissect here.
I was ready to move on, but you just extended the madness of this opening pod, where everybody's going to say, "Skip to 7:32." Well, it'd be 4:10. We're 4:10 into the pod. That's 4 minutes. You're never going to get back, but it doesn't matter.
I'm not doing the pod today.
Thank you, George.
Thank you. Somebody's gets to be a baby today. All right, we're moving on.
I did put nobody cares about this, but we do wish them the best. We do wish them the best.
Yes.
I wish them.
If you want to get uninvited, that's up to
I think
you.
there went Eddie's invite.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's off the list.
No shot.
By saying that I do care and I wish him the best.
No, yeah, I mean, look, our days are so busy on Tuesdays. It's like, it was kind of a welcome back to football season for us yesterday, because it was, I know Eddie and I were 5 o'clock in the morning until, I think, what'd you leave here, 7:30 almost last night, something like that? I mean,
It wasn't that late, but yeah, it felt like football season's finally here.
because it's just like wall to wall. And, we got to try the new concession foods after the press conferences yesterday. They were pretty decent. I mean, it's concession food.
I'm just not a big concession stand guy. I don't go to football games looking for a bunch of food. Usually that's done at the tailgate.
Josh, there was a slight media race to the concession area. You can tell the people that don't eat a lot, which, there's a lot of people in this profession, I think, that probably don't eat a lot. You don't make a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with Eddie. Like, if I'm going to go to the concession stand, I am super vanilla. Like, I'm going to get some peanuts at a baseball game. I'll get a hot dog. Like,
You just want the beer.
Yeah, I don't want the,
Maybe that's what it is. It's more of a baseball thing.
I don't care.
It's more of a baseball
Yeah.
thing for me. I'll go get a nacho or a hot dog at a baseball game. Football games, I guess I have. It's been so long since I went to a football game that I'm working all the time.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
It's when you did go to games, there was tailgating either before or after, and you look forward to that. Like, I didn't need to sit and eat a hot dog at a football game.
I mean, I've had a hot dog at a football game.
Yeah,
I used to kill hot dogs at football games.
I never ate anything.
I just don't know if I'm going to go get a whatever, some of the stuff that they had
the
yesterday.
flatbread hamburger.
Yeah, I'm just not looking to do that at a
I thought
football
that was
game.
tasty.
Well,
Didn't have it.
Eddie, I don't know about, like, for you. I would guess it's probably different for Carey and George, but, like, for me, I'm on the field. So even if, like, the press box is serving food, I'm not going up there to get it. So, like, I eat before, like, so I don't have that association. Like, or at least anymore I don't. Like, I don't go to a football game and think, oh, I'm going to eat. I'm working, I'm shooting, I'm doing whatever, and I've already eaten by the time I got to the stadium. Like, I don't even think about it.
Yeah, I think that fans should be starved at games. Get them more hungry to cheer.
Well, I mean, that leads into this weekend. If you have not heard, we are going to be doing a special live Unofficial 40 from the North Oval, as coming from President Harris's office. He's made this a real priority to try and make more of an SEC-style tailgating area on campus on game days. So they've redone the North Oval. We've seen them working on it for months now. I know you've been over there recently, Eddie, and kind of surprised just by how much room there is to
Yeah, it could
tailgate
be cool.
over there.
It could be cool. They just need people to come out and kind of participate. I mean, it's free.
Totally
Not asking
free.
too much to go sit under a tent and watch games and drop stuff off and tailgate.
Yeah,
I
and
think
they're
people
making
know how
it-
to do that. I think they need to get the sororities and fraternities really involved in this.
Yeah.
I think that's where the jumping off point is. But I could see some blurred lines just in terms of what they're expecting from behavior over there. And I would hope that it's rowdy and rambunctious.
Yeah, and like you said, they're making this easy for you. You can go Friday night between 6 and 8, I believe. Pick your stuff, pick up a drop-off tag or whatever, and pick your place, drop your stuff off, leave it there, come back on Saturday, and set up. Now, you probably don't want to leave a TV sitting out overnight, and especially with the weather we're having right now. But, yeah, I mean, look, if you've missed tailgating, if you love to tailgate, I know there's a lot of scoopers out there. Come by. If you let us know on the boards if you're going to set up at the tailgate, and hell, we'll come by and say hello. But we'll be there from noon to 2 doing a live Unofficial 40. We've got a big PA system that we just got, so you'll be able to hear us. But, yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Looking forward to it. Going to try this thing out, and we'll see if we keep doing that or not. But we're definitely going to be there this week, this Saturday. So come out and see us, and before you head to the ball game, we'll be out there early.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
All right, so we've had a full week of media. Ben Arbuckle is back with not back, but for the first time in a while, we're having an offensive coordinator's press conference on Tuesday. Eddie, we used to have like the Baker Mayfield press conference like on Tuesdays, I think 1 year or 2 years maybe. I remember Jalen Hurts had his press conference on Tuesdays before like the head coach would speak. So it is nice kind of getting back to that, to where it's just not Brent Venables. And you can and look, we didn't talk to Ben Arbuckle or Seth Luttrell basically at all last year until post game. So to have this during the week, it's just kind of refreshing to be able to talk to an offensive coordinator like that.
Yeah, until it's proven that he's a dumbass and they need to fire the next offense coordinator, or they need to fire this offense coordinator and go find somebody new.
Let's face it, we weren't looking forward to a Seth Luttrell midweek post game or midweek press conference after the Texas game last year.
I don't think anybody was. Well, I guess that would have been interesting, because that would have meant that he still has a job.
He got fired, didn't he, that week?
So, yeah, that would have been interesting.
I'm going to say they would have called that press conference off. Wouldn't have been like Joe John Finley.
Well, they did. They fired him.
What I'm saying is they wouldn't have just trotted Joe John Finley out that week.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, a lot of stuff. We talked to the captains on Monday. I'm sure you guys have been watching the YouTube videos. We've had multiple practice reports, just another one that released this morning. And I think, the biggest talk out of this whole week has been the running back rotation. And, the fact that Jaden Ott was listed third team. I know it's got a lot of people on the board talking. We put up that video this morning. It launched just about an hour ago from where we are now, and some of the first comments were, basically, does he know DeMarco Murray is his running back coach when he talked about playing the hot backs? And look, last year with that offensive line, with Javonte Barnes banged up, Gavin Sawchuk was just not a good fit with that offensive line, as patient as runner as he was. It ended up Xavier Robinson ended up being the best back because he could kind of run through trash and didn't really need to have everything blocked up perfectly with his power. But it took a while to get to it, and fans haven't forgot that. And look, I get it. When you look at it from the perspective of what is he doing with his rotations and trying to fight through it with Javonte Barnes, people question it. And I said it earlier on the Unofficial 40, like, if DeMarco doesn't play Jaden Ott more than the other guys, then I'm going to question him just like I questioned Cale Gundy when he played Chris Brown over DeMarco Murray back in the day. So there's a lot of eyeballs that are going to be on that rotation, because a lot of people are ready to start blaming DeMarco for a lot of things over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm at a point now where I just don't even care about the commentary around everything as much as I'm just ready to see what this thing looks like. Like, a lot of the player stuff even this week was just, there's not a whole lot to talk about. We've been talking, and it's kind of a good part about having so much access as we've had. We've talked to all of these guys. There's not a whole lot more to say about this team and the expectations than being able to go out and actually see it. And unfortunately, I just don't know like how much you're going to be able to take, maybe like big picture stuff you can take out of the Illinois State game, but rotations and all that kind of stuff, I think that's going to take care of itself. I mean, you have Brent Venables on the SEC teleconference on Wednesday morning talking about Jay not being one of the most explosive players that they have. I just have a hard time thinking that he's not going to figure into the rotation at running back.
And we've seen it with our own eyes. I mean,
this has more to do with everything that we saw during the preseason that we talked about on shows. Just in terms of, it's a reward for getting through the preseason for guys like Javonte Barnes and Torrey Blaylock. And
who have been practicing the entire time. There's a reason Ben Arbuckle talked about how durable they were through preseason camp. I mean, because they carried a lot of the load while Jaden Ott got to kind of take it easy because he got dinged up early. So it is. And people don't want to look at it that way, but people who played football, people that were in sports growing up, like, they know that guys that tough things out matter to a team. And what they're trying to do is saying Javonte Barnes and why am I forgetting?
Torrey Blaylock.
Like, they toughed out camp for us. Like, they've earned this recognition as the top two back. It doesn't mean, I know people want to make it out like, well, DeMarco made this up. Like, DeMarco's, like, he's being too much of a hard ass. No, it's just simply they're rewarding two guys, and they know they have a third guy in Jaden Ott, and they got another guy in Xavier Robinson, but he hasn't been very healthy during camp.
It sounds like a bad thing, though, when you say that it's just a reward for what they did in a way, or at least I think it does a little bit. Don't you think, Josh? Like they're not just handing out spots right now. It has a lot to do with the availability. And I think that Javonte Barnes, like, God love him, we're back in August talking about how great he looks during the preseason. I think there is a world where they can play 2 or 3 guys, don't you think, Josh?
Well, I think over the course of a season, like when you look at the schedule, they're going to have to. They're going to have to rotate guys. I mean, we just know that's the era of football right now. But, Eddie, I agree with your point. If everybody knows that the depth chart's meaningless and it doesn't really stand for what's reality, then what is the point of the reward? You're not rewarding anything. Everybody knows it's just bullshit anyway.
Don't you think, too, that like you can't stand here and talk about the culture of the program, too, if you're not going to reward guys? Like, I guess I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth a little bit.
How are they rewarding?
But I understand that.
How are they not rewarding Jaden Knott, though? I mean, they're just saying, we're looking at the guys that made it all the way through camp, and he didn't, and we're not. To me, it's a bad. It's a bad look for the culture. It's a bad look for the culture if you're putting a guy first on the depth chart that only went through like 3 or 4, or I think about 5 or 6, practices full go.
I'd be very, very surprised still if Jaden Knott wasn't the leading rusher on this team at the end of the year.
I would too. I mean, look, we're talking about all this stuff because the fans are reacting a certain way. You and I have been out there watching when they were going full go. And Jaden Knott, there's something very special about that guy. He has a little burst, a little electricity, a little bit of shimmy, whatever you want to call it, that the other guys don't have.
Yeah. And I think that, it'll kind of take care of itself. And I hate just kind of falling back on that because we've said that before, and it certainly didn't, especially at that running back room. And I think that's why the fan base is so up in arms about the depth chart, is because they know that they've been through this before. And I think that, the way that DeMarco has handled that position has not been without criticism. It certainly has.
Yeah, guys, do you think if like this was at receiver or defensive line or like, do you think anyone would even bat an eye? I think that's part of it, is like, oh shit, here we go again. Like, and I think that, and again, I agree with you guys. Jaden Knott's gonna, assuming everybody's healthy and everything is as it should be, he'll lead the team in carries by the end of the year. I don't think there's any question about it. At the same time, I don't know, like, I hate the let's assume everybody's stupid. Like, the players know the deal. They know what's going on. So, like, I don't understand why that's a reward if everybody knows it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, assume stupidity is kind of a default that causes a lot of issues. Because, look, Brent kind of fell on his sword yesterday a little bit, just saying, I know the fans want a winner. He didn't come out and say, like, I have failed to do that, because he's done a lot of good things. The defense has been good. His biggest problem is that he made a terrible hire last year for his offensive coordinator. That's the worst thing that Brent's done at Oklahoma, and it almost cost him his job. I mean, let's face it, at the end of last season, they don't beat Alabama. He might not be the coach here.
It's just one of those things that I think that, especially that comment that he had yesterday from Jenny's question, just kind of like the big picture look at the program going into year number 4. I think that that's going to be one of those moments, and I put it in the live thread that we had during the press conference. I think that's going to be one of those moments that you look back on and you either go a year from now, they got this thing figured out and it worked out, or you're probably looking back at that and that's going to be played when you're talking about a coaching search.
I'll give you this too. Brent, he did take an opportunity to talk about how he felt like the team was a mess when he inherited it, talking about the failed drug test, kids not going to class, having a 2.2 GPA. One thing he hasn't done, he's never blamed Jackson Arnold. He's never really blamed Seth Luttrell when he could do that. So when it comes to like individual people, I kind of respect him because, there are things, and we've heard things. George has told us some things, that he's heard just about, when John Mateer came in here, he was shown a lot of tape about if they just had a quarterback that could do this or that, they were really close to being a good offense. And he had Ben Arbuckle here, so, I mean, he knew what he was walking into. But publicly, no one has ever come out and just said, boy, Jackson Arnold. I mean, really, Hugh Freeze has said more negative things about Jackson Arnold in public than Brent ever has.
Guys, something that a lot of people hit on from last week's show that and again, I know we want to talk about this year and that kind of stuff, but I just know it came up a lot, was Al's comment about a lot of, apparently there being a groundswell that Jackson Arnold wasn't always that well liked.
Yeah, I just don't think that's the case.
I think that's why we kind of just didn't go further into it, because we were there, we know the situation. It's coming from a player's girlfriend too.
It's just the general trickle down of when
everybody
you lose,
was pissed.
Everything gets exposed, and everybody has a problem with everybody.
Yeah, fingers start pointing at other people.
On a baseball team that loses 15 games in a row, you have guys showing up, later to the yard than they normally would. They're not going through their pregame like they normally would because it just sucks to be there. I think that's just one of those things that got blown out of proportion. And because if the opposite and he was really good, I don't think that you ever hear that.
Look, Josh, Jackson Arnold, we've talked about this a lot. You compare him to John Mateer and just their demeanors. Jackson didn't know how to lead. He didn't know how to play college football at a high level. We had Dari Noka on The Family Business. I don't know if either of you guys watched that, but we were showing Jackson Arnold clips, and we were just showing ISOs that Eddie had at LSU last year. Some other places, and Dari's like, look, I'm watching this video right there, and I already don't like Jackson Arnold's demeanor. He was just a guy that was unsure of himself, didn't have good coaching, didn't have a quarterback coach. Who knows what Jackson Arnold would be if he had a guy like Kuzieski, that John Mateer has. So it was a failure all the way around. But I think the whole, the team didn't like him thing. The team didn't even know who to look to. They didn't have leadership on that offensive year. All their key receivers were hurt.
I think there's a lot of that. And you look back at just some of the things that have been said since Mateer and Arbuckle came into town, and I think that Ben said it yesterday, just talking about confidence and leadership. They needed somebody to follow, and I think that it's kind of done wonders on a lot of those guys that were a part of that last year, that they were able to kind of get over it and remember that they're pretty good football players and they can be a part of a successful product. And I think that's why it kind of all adds up and culminates into where we are now, where I think that there's some feeling inside the program that they could be pretty good. It's just kind of what we've said for the last 7 months. I'm just not going to believe it until I'm able to actually see it out there on the field.
Well, and here's another part to it with the whole Jackson thing. I had talked to some people, with the whole wide receiver thing, especially the Nick Anderson stuff, and it was like people were coming to me and saying, we think Nick Anderson might be a problem in the locker room because he was disgruntled. Remember, he was using his own trainer. He'd broken away from OU. There were so many things on that team that were so f***ed up. It's just one more thing to say that, an offensive lineman
people are so obsessed with just
running back didn't like the quarterback or whatever.
Running everything back from last year and shitting on everybody. Does it make everybody feel better?
Well, that's the thing. It's
it's not going to help them win this year.
You have to stop doing that. And carrying that stuff forward, it's all new. And we've been, Eddie, I feel like we've been battling that all through the offseason. You guys don't understand. John Mateer is a lot different. Ben Arbuckle is a lot different. I don't want to speak for you, but I believe that they're going to succeed at a pretty good level.
I just don't know. I don't know.
It does depend on the offensive line a lot.
They definitely can. They have the talent to do so. It's just, there's been one area that has really held this thing back over the last couple of years. And I think when you look at the, kind of the two sides of what they were able to rebuild from a defensive perspective, it's probably gone under the radar a little bit, just how bad they were when they took over. And then when you can look at the position groups and see the depth that they have, you hope that the same could be said for the offensive side. It's just going to have to be out on the field where they're going to be able to get people to buy back into this thing.
I don't like that we can't come together on that position, that they're going to be better. I almost want you to go to enjoy.
I think everybody.
I want you to go to enjoy and have your eyes checked. That's what I want.
I'm about to leave. Football season. It's upon us, Sooner Nation, and that means it's the perfect time to dial in your vision before you miss any Sooner magic. That SEC schedule isn't easy. We know that. But thankfully, LASIK is at Enjoy Vision is offering free consultations. You can get your eyes fixed, and you would probably enjoy the season a lot more. Schedule your free consultation today at enjoyvision.com. That is the letter NJOY vision.com. Football season is why you LASIK. Enjoy Vision. is where you LASIK.
You know what's going on, Josh? For the first time in months today, because it's been so rainy here, I told Eddie this when I showed up yesterday. I was like, man, I'm tired already. Like, it's just all this, do we have no sun? And so I went and I got a cup of coffee this morning for the first time in months. I think maybe I'm just high on caffeine right now. I'm just pushing everyone away.
Are you guys, like, I'm sure we've talked about this. I'm not a coffee guy. Like, I've never literally sat down and had a cup of coffee.
I like it, but if I have too much, I just get jittery and it feels like my heart's going to explode.
Caffeine, sugar, like, I'm real sensitive. Like, I get shaky and get, like, I don't feel good.
Well, you know what you need?
I drink in an obnoxious amount.
You need to give Will Douglas a call at Cody Drug RX, Josh. I know you're already dealing with him and Cody Drug RX. Your family's going through them for a lot of your prescriptions.
I have an order on my front porch right now that I need to go pick up. It has happened while we've been doing this.
I'm starting on the Chill Mag, which is his recommendation for people not to do what's the one that's over the counter that helps you sleep? Melatonin, is that right? Mm-hmm. Like, he's a proponent of the Chill Mag over the melatonin, and I'll report back here in another week or so how I'm doing. But if you want more energy, better focus, you just want to stay ahead of the game, go to CodyDrugRx.com. They can also do the NAD Plus injections and send them right to you. That's because Cody Drug custom compounds everything in their state-of-the-art sterile lab, including specialized medications for men's health, weight loss, anti-aging, and more. Also, they love working with Oklahoma med spas and clinics. So if you're in healthcare, they're ready to team up. Just go to CodyDrugRx.com and check them out. They've got all weight loss, anything that you want. They've got it. Anything. That's relative. Eddie wants more drugs than that. But
slander.
Go check them out. They'll help you feel better faster without the stadium steps. You won't have to mess with Schmitty at all. You'll just feel better each and every day. CodyDrugRx.com. Go check them out on Instagram too, CodyDrugRx. Will's got a lot of videos that take you through things that can make you feel better in your everyday life. Okay, so we did talk to Brent Venables yesterday. It was a lot of big picture stuff, Eddie. It wasn't the most, information-packed press conference. George tried to ask him about injuries. He shut that down really fast. I don't know if anybody asked him on the teleconference today. I haven't really I'll have to get an update if George will talk to me after the show because he was on there. But, Eddie, I think we kind of talked about it before. It was a little bit of a, I'm sorry about the way things have gone. We want them to be better. But I will say... I
mean, he didn't openly just come out and say that.
No, but I mean, I'm just trying to paraphrase it,
People will believe that.
I know. But very high on Cortland Guillory, very high on his young defensive backs. And people had brought up, like, where are certain people on the depth chart? Where's Kendal Dolby? That was one of the guys that George tried to ask him about, and he'd give no update, or Eli Bowen.
I don't think either of those guys are going to play on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think that's safe to say.
And... I think they'd love to have Eli Bowen back from Michigan. I know George said on one of the YouTube shows yesterday he thought it might be 2 to 3 weeks and maybe a week past that.
Yeah, but that's back practicing. I don't think that... I think Auburn would probably be a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, and that would be... I think that becomes the really important game because, depending on what happens with Auburn early in the year... if they have a quarterback, they've got a good team. I mean, they've got a team certainly capable of beating this OU team that we saw a year ago. But anyway, Michigan, I know everybody's who's going to be back for that. I think they're still going to be either starting a Cortland Guillory or somebody else at that opposite corner, Jacoby Johnson. Somebody's going to be starting there besides Eli Bowen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. It will be interesting in talking about like just the rotations. Who's going to be the first guy out there? I know that everything that we've heard on Cortland Guillory, whether it be players or coaches, they come in and rave about the kid. And it's not so much what he's been able to do on the practice field, and he's had a really good preseason. But I think that it's a lot of stuff like off the field and just what he's doing inside the classroom. And I know that Brent talked about it yesterday, just kind of how rare it is for a freshman to be able to take what they're talking about in the film room and then take it out to the practice field. it's sky's the limit. And Josh, I remember talking about Cortland last year on the recruiting reports, and I think we knew that he was a really good athlete because he did a little bit of everything on, everywhere on the field in high school. But I've been a little bit surprised just how good they think he is and how quickly he can be a big-time contributor this year.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you look at a lot of these guys that come in as freshmen and do make an impact and are, and are at the very least impressing the staff. Elijah Thomas, Cortland Guillory. And I know, Michael Fasusi, we all knew he was incredibly talented. And then if he put the work in, there was a chance that he was going to be in the spot he's in. But some of these guys that were like, obviously Elijah Thomas was like a top 150 guy in the country. Cortland Guillory was like a 3-star guy. Torrey Blaylock was like a low 4, high 3 kind of guy. And I think what you can see is there's a pattern to a lot of these guys that when you kind of saw them as seniors take like big step forwards, like Elijah Thomas had a massive senior year, took Chakotah deep into the playoffs. Cortland Guillory, like you said, just about every week on the recruiting report, we were going over his film and some insane, I think he had a game where he blocked 2 field goals and 1 punt. Just crazy stuff, like unbelievable things that most guys don't do an entire season. He was doing almost weekly. And then Torrey Blaylock obviously, played on a really, really good Atascocita team and helped them make another deep run in the playoffs. So I think there's a pattern there where you see these guys. It's almost like in high school, the light starts to come on. They start to kind of put it together of what they need to do, where they need to go. But with Cortland, you knew he was talented. You knew he was really good. It was like, how quickly can he learn everything, and how much is his size going to hurt him? Like, not height, length, but just like body size. Like he needed to get bigger and stronger. And again, we talked about it when he did that first interview with you guys like a week or so ago. He's unbelievably big. I just, like, you can talk about the work he's put in the classroom. That dude worked this summer and in this spring in the weight room with Jerry Schmidt. You can tell it just by looking at him.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Becoming the most valuable sports franchise in the world doesn't happen without risk. A man who's willing to bet it all, and the players ready to make their own luck. America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, is the story of the 1990s Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones's impact on NFL history. Featuring interviews with iconic 90s players and more. Watch America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, streaming now only on Netflix.
It's just crazy, too, the just separate ends of the spectrum. Somebody like a Cortland Guillory is coming in, having the success from day one, basically, going through the spring, and then obviously putting himself into a position to be a starter this year, as opposed to somebody like a Jacoby Johnson, who's battling for the same spot, kind of been through it. Brent talked about the development aspect of it yesterday, and I don't know. He talked about, and we saw it kind of up close and personal, Josh, over at Mustang High School with Jacoby. He was more of an offensive guy in high school. He certainly played quarterback, but I think that it's going to be very fun to see what he actually can be on that opposite side of Gentry going into this year.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I see some comparison between he and PJ, where you're just like, well, these guys are physical marvels. Like, I'm not trying to over-exaggerate, but I think Brent said it yesterday. Jacoby Johnson's one of the most physically gifted players on that roster. Like, from an athleticism, his size, his frame, like he is off the charts talented. But he didn't know much about playing the position, and I think also came from kind of a basketball mindset. That's really what he had. I think growing up, that's what Jacoby saw himself as.
Sure.
And
Dad played college ball, right?
He had, so I think he had to learn a little bit of. This is how we play defense, and certainly corner or Brent Venables defense is different than corner in a lot of situations where they'll just let you run and cover and you're not going to have to be as physical. Brent, there are demands. You are going to come up, you're going to play run, you're going to be violent. He believes in all that stuff. So I think there was a big learning curve. And like I said, just like PJ, where there was so much expectation because of what the athletic traits were that it was easy to overlook how much they still had to learn. And I keep saying it with PJ. People loved, like, when he was coming out, they were like, oh, well, look at his brother. His brother was a first-round pick. Go back and look at his brother. It wasn't until his junior year that he made any real impact on the field. And that was like 5.5, 6.5 tackles for loss. And then his senior year, he went bananas and had like 14.5 tackles for loss. Had an incredible senior year, and that was what spurred him onto the NFL and all that stuff. So I think people need to bear that stuff in mind. When you're talking about guys that are this talented, you want to give them every bite of the apple you can. Give them every opportunity to take a job. So I agree, Eddie. Corner has gone from a huge question mark to I think even with injuries, they're probably going to be okay.
You feel better about cornerback or wide receiver? Because there is a lot of unprovenness. Unprovenness? Is that a word?
Why not?
Wide receiver, I think you have there's a lot of ifs. Every time you say, like, if Deion Burks can stay healthy, if Elijah Thomas is ready, if, there's no thing that you just say, we know that's there. Maybe the guy I would say I most buy into, and like what I think his role will be and why I think he can be good at it, is Keontez Lewis. Mm-hmm. Because I think what they're expecting of him and what he's going to be doing, he's done. And I don't think it's a matter of is he going to be fast enough? Is he going to be this? He's just and maybe it's the last name, but I keep comparing him to Geno Lewis. I see such a like-for-like type of player, move the chains guy, keep the ball moving down the field. I think that's a lot of what he'll be doing, and I think he'll excel at that. You've got to have Satania, able to make some big plays. Deion Burks, like I said, has got to stay healthy. Elijah Thomas or Zion Kearney, one of those guys needs to emerge and be a little ahead of where we think they're going to be. So, again, at corner, I kind of buy it. It's just because because guys, we're talking about this, and we're not even talking about Eli Bowen, who was a freshman All-American last year.
Sure.
So there's still a lot at corner to play out, and at receiver, I'm just I believe in some of the talent. I don't know if I believe in how ready it is just yet.
I think there's a little part of me, too, that just believes that John Mateer is going to make some of these guys a little bit better than maybe they actually are. And I know that's definitely a shot at the wide receiver room, but I do think that he's going to be able to do some things as a veteran guy. And Ben talked about it a little bit on Tuesday, being able to work. And it might have been to your question about the chemistry with the receivers.
Yeah, I want to get back to that because I think you're bringing up a good point because I wanted to talk about that with Mateer and making receivers better too.
Strike two, strike three, and I'm leaving.
But no, I'm doing this for the good of our business. I want to tell you guys about Lucy. We have them here in the office. They sent us some stuff, and I just kept buying it. I know it's different for everybody, kind of your story and how you might have gotten started with dipping and stuff like that. As a baseball player, I've struggled all my life to quit, and we got these Lucy products, and I've tried the other stuff that Eddie's had around the office from time to time. And I went up to New York about a month ago. All I took with me was some Lucy. And I have not been back to dipping, tobacco again. Now, Lucy's 100% pure nicotine. It's always tobacco free. You can always set yourself up with a subscription, have Lucy delivered straight to your door. I'd say, once you start out, you figure out how often you're doing it and how much you're going through before you set up that subscription. But that saves you a lot of money doing that. They've got all kinds of different flavors. I know everybody likes different flavors. I'm more of the wintergreen. I know Eddie is too. But I also like throwing in some espresso. And the mint's good too. Got a nice little kind of a jolt to your mouth with the mint that maybe some of the others don't get. But apple cider, apple ice, berry citrus. Lots of different flavors for you to try. You can get combo packs even. Variety packs to try different things. But I use the 12 milligrams, and I think that's why it's helped so much is because I have been dipping real tobacco products for a long time. And it just I do it throughout the day. I'll grab one in the morning, and then I can get one after lunch, and then later in the evening. It's just been great for me. We want you guys, if you have a story similar to mine, go to lucy.co and You can use the code SoonerScoop to get 20% off, or you can just put in the web address lucy.co/SoonerScoop. It'll automatically say at the top 20% off your first order. They've got a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. And also, the fine print, Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical. So, it's been, it's made a ton of difference for me. And I've really enjoyed the product. And if you've been, dipping and you want to do something that's, just nicotine, no tobacco, and see how you feel being on that, I highly, highly recommend it. So that's lucy.co/SoonerScoop for 20% off your order. Okay. Sorry I interrupted you, Eddie. But no, I think, and I was talking about this morning, like, you can't, unless you're around John Mateer a little bit, you don't really get, I think people on the outside might kind of look at him and say, well, that's a really cocky guy. But kind of after what we saw and what we were talking about with Jackson Arnold earlier, to me, John Mateer, he just has a belief, like, that he's going to go out there, excuse me, and do really big things. Like, he's going to go out there and show people how good he is. And it's not like a cockiness, but it's just it's a level of confidence that maybe we haven't seen since Baker. And I only say that because Kyler was pretty, introverted. I'm sure he had those same types of feelings, but I don't know. I'm just super impressed every time we talk to him about just how much confidence he instills, not just outwardly, but to other people as well.
Well, I think that it's all going to be, a tell of the tape and see what these guys can do on Saturdays. But I do think that it's the older guys in that room, in the wide receiver room, are going to have to step up and make plays. And I think if they're able to do that, they can be pretty good, because I am buying into the idea that they have things figured out at quarterback. I don't think they have to worry about, the problems that they had last year and holding on to the ball too long and just the knowledge of the offense overall. I think from a development standpoint, they've been great. It's just going to be about going out there and doing it. And, I think some of the stuff that we saw from the older guys, whether it be Keontae Lewis throughout preseason or, any of them, any of the guys that have been in contention to play, Isaiah Satania, it's going to be very important here early that they can build some confidence within themselves and just within the offense, because I think it's a little bit different in saying, yeah, we're going to be great, and then going out and not being able to do it. And as much as bad as there was last year, I think that you look back at that, the first 3-4 games of the year, Josh, and we saw signs that this thing was not moving in the right direction. And, it's easy to look back and see those things now, but I just think that building confidence here early is really, really important. And you have a really good, opponent coming up in 2 weeks that's going to really kind of push this thing.
Absolutely. And I had somebody ask me the question, and they were like, what's the better result for Oklahoma? If you assume they beat Michigan, is it better that they played like a 17-14 game or like a 34-27 game? And for me, I'd rather see the game in the low 30s, because I want to see that offense score against a viable defense. Like I believe that the defense is going to be really good, like maybe top 10 in the country kind of good.
And when's the last time we've seen
that offense?
When's the last time we've seen complimentary football, Josh? Maybe the year when OU beat Texas, the last time when Dylan was playing?
Yep.
I mean, you just haven't – the defense has carried that offense around like an albatross. I mean, it's been frustrating for them to watch. Like, like when Danny was there and Billy was there, it's like they do – I mean, Missouri's the perfect example. I mean, you get a not a pick six, but a fumble recovery that you return for a touchdown, and then you just give the ball away on offense and lose the game.
The same could be said during that 2-game losing streak to Kansas and Oklahoma State with Dylan.
Yeah.
How many times I think people forget, Ethan Downs has that interception, and Lawrence, all you got to do is pick up a first down, the game's over.
Now it's like, can I Walker let people just get behind him?
But I guess the argument there would be the same could be said for the Missouri game last year. You don't let them go down and score, you're never in that position. But I do think those are the steps that you have to make defensively. If they can be a dominant defense, you don't let that happen.
Guys, and this is just something I've been thinking to myself over the last week or so. I believe in the talent on this team. I really do. I look on the roster and I see a bunch of guys that I think have, legitimate Sunday type talent, and I see depth at a lot of positions where you want to find depth. Guys, I could make an argument this is the most talented team, from top to bottom, probably since 2017. And I was doing the math on that. And
certainly defensive line wise. I mean, it's light
well, that's
years.
what I'm saying. The defense balances the scales.
Sure.
Because that offense isn't like that Baker group. I'm not saying it is.
Right.
But the defense tips it in a big way.
What was the worst thing that we've seen? Last year's offense or Lincoln Riley's 2017 defense?
Last year's offense. Last year's offense was the worst offense in the history of Oklahoma football. And that's not being hyperbolic.
I don't know. I don't know that Georgia comes back if that defense isn't just a ghost. I mean,
they were in a national semifinal.
I know. And they were up, 24-3 or whatever?
I believe Ruffin McNeil could have solved that offense. I believe it in my heart.
You think you're saying Ruffin McNeil could have got a W against that offense?
Yes. God, can you just imagine that offense playing against that defense? That's all you have to watch for an entire game. That'd be a nightmare.
Whittier Middle School might have a chance if they're going to put the ball on the ground. That is something as bad as the offense was a year ago.
I only brought that up because the whole Colin Cowherd defending Lincoln Riley about how he averaged 11 games versus Brent averaging 8.
I mean, let's be honest. When was the last time anybody referred to Colin Cowherd? It's kind of a fact.
Unfortunately, people.
I know. People in Oklahoma City do their show based off what he says in the mornings. Fact.
It's pretty well.
The fumble thing last year, though, they fumbled the ball. I think it was 30 times. Just think about that. Just in general, that's not. And yes, it is coaching to a certain extent because you're kind of coaching to allow it to happen. But they have to take care of the ball better than they did a year ago. I mean, look at the Tennessee game. Look at the Missouri game. All of the embarrassing South Carolina. My God, I mean, the game was over in 15 minutes. Ugh. They turned the ball. That was one thing I think that got covered up by the inability to put the right people in place from Brent's perspective. Is the fact that they did turn the ball over at an extremely alarming rate a year ago.
Love espresso, drip coffee, and cold brew? With the Ninja Luxe Cafe, if you can crave it, you can brew it. Espresso, balanced. Drip coffee, rich. Cold brew in a flash. With Barista Assist technology, you brew with no stress and no guesswork and make perfect silky microfoam hands-free from dairy or plant-based milks. Shop the Ninja Luxe Cafe at ninjakitchen.com.
Great point.
Again, you're right, Eddie. It's hard to know. Obviously, the majority of it is on the players, but at the same time, at some point when you just keep running different people out there and they're doing the same thing, that's hard for me to be that's just the players. That's only on the players.
Well, but to me, what showed the ineptitude was when they tried to come up with an entirely new offensive identity for that Texas game. And I was just oh my God, they don't know what to do. That was the most alarming thing to me. And we talked about it earlier. Seth Luttrell got fired after that because it was just such a disaster. But to think in the middle of the season, after you go through an entire training camp, we've seen these offensive coordinators come through here before, and they all kind of have the same thing. It kind of goes back to the Mike Leach thing, where he runs his system, and I think everybody now has heard the story about Mark Mangino trying to jump over the table to kill him. Because he wouldn't run a zone read play or something like that.
Can you imagine what he would do if... Well, never mind.
But
to get the Epstein list released, would he jump across the table again?
I knew that was coming.
It might be more serious than that.
He's talking about a tweet that
was
Mark
awesome.
Mangino had about
it's one of my favorite tweets of all time.
Can we talk about the Epstein files now? Was that the tweet?
But the funny part about it was it was 3 months after everything, not 3 months, but a month after everything didn't come out.
Yeah,
which I support. We do.
But it goes back to the Mike Leach thing where he had his system, he believed in it. I think Lincoln Riley had that same thing. I think Ben Arbuckle has that same thing. And Seth Luttrell obviously didn't have that. Stop it. By the way, a shout out to the guy that made a closet out of our new set on Twitter yesterday.
That's pretty good. Funny. I agree with you though, Carey. I think that like from what we know of Ben Arbuckle, we've talked to him 4 times I think now in an official capacity. He's said that almost every time that we've talked to him, just about having a plan, knowing what they need, and kind of instilling it. And I think like the first step was getting that confidence within the group during the spring. And then obviously the way that, Mateer kind of endeared himself to his teammates, I think was, probably not as much of a big deal as it's been made out to be, because none of it's going to matter if they're not good on Saturdays or if he's not good. But I do think that like just from a leadership standpoint on that side of the ball, that they had none a year ago. I think having 2 guys come in there that have kind of been alphas about the situation has helped everybody from top to bottom. And I think it's helped the defense have a little bit more confidence in just Brent as a whole.
And their team,
And in the team. So I think like those are the little things that you go into Saturday and it's going to be really disappointing if they're not able to like move the line of scrimmage that I know that we've talked about last year during the non-con, that you came back from the Houston game or the Tulane game or the Temple game and it's like, why can't they move guys off the ball?
Well, and here's Josh, this is my biggest question. And I wanted to ask this question yesterday. I didn't stumble, but I never got called on for Brent to ask the question. But I wanted to ask, like...
You didn't make a donation.
I know, I guess not. I didn't...
$700 to ask a question.
I wanted to... Well, that's just to be there. I think you got to pay double to ask the question. By the way, don't pay for that. I'm sorry if OU doesn't like me saying that. But
pay for it. Come hang out with us.
It's really boring. I mean,
I think my favorite part's going to be when they have to wait an hour or an hour and a half.
The Michigan game will be an hour and a half because all those recruits there.
They need to set up a wet bar in the back.
And we can make some money on the side. Anyway, the question that I had was like, Brent, Are you just not allowed to kind of screw around with the offense? Like, do you just leave it alone, having trust in Ben Arbuckle? Because I almost think that it's kind of like when Lincoln Riley got here. You remember that Texas game where they didn't run the ball? Baker got sacked, it seemed like 20 times. They threw like 50 passes and they lost. And you were just like, this is not Oklahoma football. And we all knew it. And Bob knew it over there on the sideline. And obviously they would talk afterwards because I think Bob even talked a little bit about that, or maybe we talked about it. But he kind of had to be like, we need to be more balanced on offense. That's how you win, championships. That's how you, take time off the clock when you've got a lead late in the game. Like, I wonder how much of that's going to have to happen with Ben Arbuckle, where he's just not used to playing the type of football that leads to championships. When, look, Nick Saban opened things up and he started passing the ball, but it took him a long time to come around, to the Tua way of doing things. It's just throwing the ball all over the place. So that's my biggest question about Ben Arbuckle. Is he going to go through some of those play calling growing pains at a place like Oklahoma, where it just becomes, and even Lincoln, Eddie, even up till the end, like, remember that Iowa State game where he realized all of a sudden, I've got running backs. And he ran like 7 straight times and scored the game-winning touchdown. Like, he still had those issues. And he might still have them today. I've watched a lot of his games. He seems to run the ball really well now.
Are there better pieces in place for this offense than what Riley inherited in 2015? Because everything obviously took care of itself. But I know we've talked about this time and time again. Walking up the tunnel at halftime in Knoxville, get on Twitter, and everybody wanted Lincoln fired and Baker to be benched and go back to Trevor Knight. And I'm just trying to think like where they were coming from in 2014 offensively when Heupel got fired. I think they're in a better spot right now, maybe? Is that crazy?
I don't know. They had,
they did have better
Sterling Shepard.
They had guys that ended up being massive stars.
Yeah,
obviously,
Mark
Baker,
Andrews.
First touchdown reception that Baker threw in 2015 against Akron. Anybody remember who it was?
Was it?
I think I'm talking myself out of my answer. By the way,
it
was D.D. Westbrook.
No, yeah, I was gonna. D.D. would have been my guess just because Sterling would have been the obvious answer. But the crazy thing, their top 4 skill guys are Sterling Shepard, D.D. Westbrook, Samaje Perine, and Joe Mixon.
All right, you're an idiot, Eddie. They are not in a better spot.
Yeah.
Now,
but you're right. They did start slow. To me, the resurrection of OU football was that Baylor game in 2015 when they went to Waco and they won. And I didn't think that they could win that game. I think Baylor was coming off 2 straight Big 12 championships.
We're gonna slap you around today.
That was Daddy.
That was the
make
Daddy
you call
thing?
me Daddy. Yeah.
I think
that wasn't Eddie's
17.
first nationally recognized moment.
Yeah, we should have told ESPN no, they can't use it. That was a great moment. But yes,
was that Eddie's first like mainstream moment? Like Eddie,
Yes.
like really out there.
That was pre.
George is
horns
saying
up for peace.
the daddy comment was 2017.
It was 2017. Okay.
All right, well they were down. That was another good game. There were some really good games down at Waco.
George, you're welcome to come back if you want.
We miss you, George.
We miss you. Your mic's still on, so you know. No, but yeah, I mean, I'm that to me about the offense is what I'm most interested in seeing how that develops, the play calling part of it.
Yeah, and I'm just interested to see what happens, and maybe there won't be a bigger deal made out of it than what it actually is. But if they do start slow, and I do think that like as much momentum as there is, if you start slow, do the thoughts start creeping back into your brain that we're just the same old that they were a year ago? And I think that those can be alleviated rather quickly, beating Michigan. But I don't know. I'm excited.
To Carey's point, Baker Mayfield had more carries than Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon combined in that Red River shootout in 2015.
Good God. That is terrible.
That's a stat, man.
I think I remember us bringing that up.
It's also
at the time.
depressing that was 10 years ago this season.
How many times was he sacked in that game, actually? Does it say?
Let's see. Yeah. Give me a second. I'll find it.
But, I mean,
that was Josiah St. John's fault.
Here's the thing. His starting left tackle in that game, I believe, was Derek Farniok, was it not?
Did Josiah St. John, was he playing right?
Yeah, he would have been playing right tackle.
Baker was sacked 6 times, so 18 of his 12 carries were
That would have been on the low side last year, Josh.
And how many passes did he throw in that game? Attempts?
Let's see. He
28.
had 28.
Okay.
Look at Texas's combined passing in that game.
Oh, my God. Texas threw 12 passes the whole game.
Gerard Hurd and Tyrone Swoops were 9 of 12 for 55 yards, and they won the OU Texas game. Now, the flip side of that, Donta Foreman, Gerard Hurd, Jonathan Gray, Tyrone Swoops combined 58 carries for 313.
Yeah, they just
313 on the ground.
Well, remember the year
and that
also.
was the year that Foreman went nuts.
Yeah, Foreman. They had 2 100-yard guys. Hurd had 21 for 115. Donta Foreman 9 for 117. Average of 13 per.
Shoot, Jonathan Gray had 76.
I mean, the quarterbacks that beat Oklahoma, that list is long and quarterbacks that weren't really all that great. That list is long and distinguished.
It feels like OU beaten more good quarterbacks than they've lost to. Like they've lost to more bad
average
quarterbacks.
Than
they've lost to good quarterback. Yeah, really weird. Reggie McNeil at A&M years ago. Like that's one I always think about.
It all kind of started. I mean, it culminated in 2014 in the Rest Athletic Bowl, didn't it? With the Cole Stout kid, 26 of 36 for 319 and 3 touchdowns. That was kind of like the D-Day.
Yeah,
one of the only games I haven't been to over the last 15 years. God, Knight was 17
of
37.
What was the deal? We just decided Eddie didn't we didn't need to send 2 people.
We would have had to leave on Christmas Day, I think, or Christmas night,
what it was.
Christmas Eve, one of the two. Because I think the game was played on. It was like December 26th, or I think it was on Christmas Eve. I think it was the 24th.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real, and so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
Yeah, what's crazy is Brent Venables, like, he shut out Vince Young. Like, they beat them, what was it, 12-0, 13-0 that 1 year when Vince Young was
December
their starter?
29th was the day of the game, by the way.
Yet they lost to Case McCoy.
Yeah, that was was that when Stryker almost killed him?
Yes. Still don't think that was a penalty.
Even in 2005, guys, like Texas, I mean, obviously, great team that year. OU was down, had lost so much to graduation, that kind of stuff. It wasn't like Texas just beat up a horrible offense and wore OU's defense down eventually. It wasn't like Vince Young went bananas that day.
Wow. I mean, the final score was 45-12.
30. Yeah, I had 35-12 in my head, but like, I mean, no. Like, I'm saying eventually, like, they got it going, but I want to say it was like 7-0 at the end of the first or something like that. It wasn't like Texas just ran all over them.
It was kind of like last year, 14-6 at the end of the first quarter, and then 24-6 at half.
Yeah.
By the way, people are screaming at their car radios or in their headphones, Peter Gardier right now.
Oh, that's a bad one.
The most average Texas quarterback, and he never lost to Oklahoma.
Case McCoy got him.
Yeah, we said that one.
Yeah, I missed that. Sorry. Yeah, there's been some weird ones.
I don't even know how we got down this OU Texas rabbit hole.
Yeah, we were just talking about that Baker game.
Oh, yeah,
about the offensive, about the play calling and stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, but no, I think for the most part, like when we talk to the captains, I think this is a defense that's not really led by one person, as a Danny Stutzman or a Billy Bowman. Like, I think they got a lot of dudes that just, whether it's Kobe McKenzie or Kip Lewis or, Dominic Williams or, I think Jaden Jackson will kind of become that guy. But they've just got, I think Robert Spears-Jennings certainly.
There's a ton of guys on the defensive side of the ball. When you just look at guys that have returned, and obviously Kendal Daniels is going to be part of this group, that are coming in from other places. I was looking at the game notes. Where is it now? Dominic Williams. He started 39 games in his career. I think that counts for something. And we've heard about his maturation over the last year. Kendal Daniels started 28 games. He's played in 42 as a collegiate player. You look at the guys that are returning that are going to be, expected to be big-time contributors. They have a nice collection of very veteran guys that have now been in the program 3 years, or guys that have come in that are expected to be big-time players like Kendal Daniels, or a mix of the true freshmen and some of the younger guys that are expected to take big jumps, whether that be a Reggie Powers or Michael Boganowski, whomever you want to talk about on the defensive side of the ball. It just feels like that side of the ball is really, really good right now.
Josh, do you think that, to me, the most intriguing guy is Kendal Daniels. Especially, playing the cheetah position, but I think that's the one guy on this team where you're like, that guy has a chance to like really vault himself into kind of the NFL spotlight with this season, with what they're asking him to do and how they talk about him and how much ground he can cover and the types of players he can cover. Like, by the way, did you see Isaiah Simmons got released yesterday?
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's not the way that story is supposed to go.
But I'm thinking of Isaiah Simmons and his rise, in his final years in college. Like, that's what could happen to Kendal Daniels, I think. Possibly. That's the ceiling of, what he could do. Now, he could be a guy that, maybe when the games get going, he doesn't have the instincts or, maybe doesn't, show some of that lackadaisicalness that he had a year ago.
Very crimson-shaded glasses looking at it like this, but what he put on tape a year ago in Stillwater, I think, was kind of a culmination of, like we talked about with Jackson, where that thing was such a shit product. It's almost naive to not think that these guys aren't going to somewhat check out of something, and especially when you're on a team that went 0-9.
Well, and Eddie, I don't know about you, but with him in particular, it helps me a lot that unlike some of these guys that come in from the portal that I didn't know. I didn't see them. Like, I know what an unbelievable athlete Kendal Daniels is. I've watched him since he was a sophomore in high school. I know what a freak he always had a chance to be. And again, like, I go back to it. This was a guy Brent Venables wanted out of high school. I mean, like, I remember, talking to people around Clemson. They were legitimately interested and just didn't believe he was ever going to leave Oklahoma. So he is, like I said, I'm trying to temper it, because what you hear, you're just like, holy shit, like, this guy's going to change the way they can attack everything defensively. Like, he brings an element they haven't had. And I feel like I have to say it because it comes up all the time. He is not Deshaun McCullough. He is a very different athlete, a very different style of player. Even if physically their height and weight looks the same on a piece of paper, they're very different products and how they do things. So, but guys, for me, the one that I can't lie that I'm just dying to watch is David Stone. I want to watch David Stone and see the development, see the growth, because I would say if there's two guys in that defensive group that I say they have like first round type of talent with between measurables, physical talent, athleticism, all that stuff. It's David Stone, it's Danny Okoye. I think Danny's going to have to fight for snaps a little bit this year. I think it's going to be a tougher thing for him. I think he'll be exciting when he is out there. David's the guy that you're like, he's going to be in the rotation plenty, and I think he may flash some pretty special stuff at some points this year.
And it's another one of those preseason comments, but I think that in the time that we've talked to him and just how his teammates talk about him and then his coaches talk about him, whether it be Todd Bates or Brent, he seems extremely in a good spot, like just mentally. And I think that counts for something going into the season. I'm sure there's a lot of people like that obviously aren't going to play as much. But it just, I don't know. For somebody that I think that the one thing that you've always kind of been worried about with David is just making sure that he's focused on football and completely bought in. And I think he's done that this season. And I think it's helped that he's around somebody like a Dominic Williams every day that has really kind of reinvested himself into his own game. And to see that, I think it's just, that's why like the culture stuff, it's definitely eye roll. But at the same time, I do think that like if they're able to get over this hump as a program, you're going to look back on it and say, there were signs there. We just weren't willing to say that, yes, they are going to make that turn and get over that hump.
Guys, I don't know about you, but every time I talk about this team, I'm like, this is going to look so stupid, one way or the other. Like, I don't know which way it's going to be, because I think when I talk about like 8-4, 9-3, I think the talent is at least that good, if not better. I really, like I said earlier, I really believe in what this team can be. At the same time, I didn't see 6 and 7 coming in 2 of the last 3 years either, and so that scares me, and so I kind of temper everything I'm saying. At the same time, you have those seasons in the past, and you just be an idiot to ignore them and be like, oh, nope, they're going 10-2 this year, and they're going to the play. Like, I feel like there's no matter what you say about these guys, you're going to be wrong at the end of the year, and I just don't have a clue which way I'm going to be wrong.
So we're heading toward the opener, Illinois State. I think, guys, it's going to be pretty vanilla offensively and defensively. They're not, with Michigan coming up, not going to want to show a whole lot. Who do you think on both sides of the ball ends up being the biggest standout from game one?
See, I think you can get in trouble with this because if things go as planned, I think there's a lot of young guys that are going to play. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of guys that they're going to be able to take it easy on going into Michigan. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if you looked up and somebody like I'm going to just throw a name out there. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Torrey Blaylock ended up having 3 touchdowns or something. And you look back on that and think it's going to be, that's the way that this is going to be all season. And then all of a sudden you get into conference play or you even get into next week against Michigan and it looks a little bit different. So I don't know. I could see them having a really good day offensively because I do think it's going to be kind of guns a-blazing a little bit, if you will, just because this is that first game out and they want to kind of make a little bit of a statement?
Yeah, you were.
Oh, go ahead, Carey.
I was going to say the Torrey Blaylock thing scares me because I think they could hold out Jaden Ott a little bit. Maybe he doesn't even play in this game. I don't know. If he does play, they're probably not going to give him a ton of carries. And I think that's pre-planned. It will be pre-planned and not on DeMarco making decisions. So I think the worst thing that would happen is the running backs just don't look that good. And, Jaden Ott doesn't play that much because then people, like you said, they're going to jump to conclusions and
if the
think
running
everybody's
backs,
stupid.
If the running backs don't look good, I think that's a major issue because that means the offensive line's had a little bit of an issue with an FCS opponent's defensive line.
Agreed.
And so the better question would have been, what's going to suck at coming out of game? What are you going to be most concerned with coming out of game one then?
That the Michigan game isn't here immediately, that we're going to have to go through this again next week. Because I do think that's going to be a pretty special weekend around these parts. But, it should be a name the number type of deal on Saturday. It should be. And I say that acknowledging that I think for an FCS opponent, it seems like Illinois State is a pretty good team. Like, I don't think Illinois State's the worst team that's going to play in Norman this year. I think that would be Kent State. I think Kent State might be one of the worst programs in the country.
Possibly.
That's interesting. I mean, it could be, but I mean, so I had somebody ask me, Josh, can OU cover the 35.5? The last time Illinois State played a game, they lost to UC Davis by 32. OU damn well better cover that. It should be. This should be a 56-7 kind of game.
These games are so tough, though, just in a way, because if they are going to get a bunch of young guys playing time on the back end, all of a sudden that back door opens wide open. If you're, if you're up 42 to 14 or 42 to 7, and all of a sudden you get a backdoor touchdown at the buzzer, there's going to be a lot of angry alumni at about 9:30.
My guy T-Bag brought this up to me this week. We were talking about, or maybe it was last week, talking about Illinois State being a potentially dangerous opponent. He said, yeah, that 3-9 Oklahoma State team beat South Dakota State, who was considered one of the better teams in the FCS last year, 44-20 in the opener.
Sure.
So it should be a sound beating. And if it's not, you're going to worry.
I think there's concerns. Yep, I would agree.
We'll see. I'm excited about it. The week one schedule, we're going to be a little bit, just take it for granted, because I think that every night, starting Thursday night, we have somewhat decent games. I think especially if you're listening to this, you're a little bit of a college football sicko. I'll watch Oklahoma State and Tennessee Martin for a little bit before Nebraska and Cincinnati. Friday night, Baylor and Auburn is going to be awesome. Saturday is one of the better opening weekends or week ones that college football's had in a long time, and we get 2+ days of it with the Sunday game, or the 2 Sunday games and the Monday night game. So I'm excited about it. Plenty of storylines going into the season. But my number one storyline going into Saturday for Oklahoma is the quarterback for Illinois State. Are we aware of this kid's name?
It's something good. I can't remember what it is.
It's Tommy Rittenhouse. I'm wondering if his cousin Kyle's going to be in attendance in Norman.
I had to look up who that person is. That is how little attention I pay.
It's just a question. I think he was pretty good, though, last year.
Well, they seem to be from different towns, so surely they're not.
Well, cousins grow up in different cities.
Oh, this was the Wisconsin kid, right? Or he wasn't from Wisconsin, but he shot people from Wisconsin. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just don't see the name Rittenhouse too often. You know what else is kind of weird, more seriously? His cousin is Demetrius Jackson, who played basketball at Notre Dame and is in the NBA with the Celtics, which I don't know how that family connection works. It's just kind of crazy. Got a white guy and then his cousin's a black guy in the NBA.
Well, I was very confused about the Kansas State fight.
I had a feeling that
has to be a low point.
Step.
I did not know that Andrew, what's his last name?
Avery Johnson.
Avery Johnson. I didn't know he was not just a white guy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people across the country realized that on Saturday.
Because I saw that and I was like, this is internet bullshit. Like, those are 2 black guys fighting. It can't be his brother. Like,
it's just a light-skinned brother. It's kind of crazy. I think we had talked about that last year at some point. I was kind of in that same camp, though. Even through high school.
I don't know how you guys felt, but I was like, man, good on America. Because
For
like
what?
they're going to a foreign country.
Oh, and beating people
and
each
fighting.
other up?
Yeah, I mean, like it just showed everyone around that part of the world that college football is serious business. Because I mean, Josh is a soccer guy. There are murders after soccer games. Like that's really serious.
Yeah,
it's a little embarrassing.
I will someday go over and see an Arsenal game in England. I will not see it outside of their home stadium. There is no way in hell. Like that is asking for problems.
So yeah, I'm sorry that you're not as proud as I was, Eddie, but I took a little pride in that.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of embarrassing. That would be awful to cover. It'd be awful to go over there and have to deal with all that kind of stuff.
Drink over there. I'm sure embarrassing. That doesn't even register on the embarrassing scale.
Guys, surely they were flying back across the Atlantic for hours and hours sitting right next to each other, right? Like how uncomfortable was that flight?
How far into the flight did they realize, oh shit, we have to make a worldwide apology after this?
That whole thing I don't know. I already thought that it sucked that those two teams were playing in the first week of the season, but my God, that entire display out there, that was bad.
It was a boring game for a long time.
The fight would have been better in Ames, Iowa. There's no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We're running out of time here. We've got some interviews that we've got to do that we've scheduled this afternoon. Josh, are you kind of surprised that T-Ron Richardson kind of just, I don't know, it didn't seem like there was a lot of fanfare. I don't know if it's just this time of year, people are ready for the game, but it kind of went over like a wet turd, like, for a defensive line commitment.
I do, because I think it's part of it is he's not a name that people know real well. He's not from Florida or Texas or California, so I think people automatically kind of dismiss him, and just not him, but just players in general. They're like, I don't know what that means. He's from Virginia. Isn't he good? That kind of deal. And so I think that's some of it. But again, I wrote it in the commitment breakdown. I like this guy. I think there's a lot of athleticism. I think he's got a great frame. The thing about it is, like, you can, at the same time you can see all the tools, you can also see how raw he is. Like, I mean, he really, really has a lot to learn, because he almost stands straight up, but he does all these things incorrectly, but he's so athletic it doesn't even matter. And you're like, well, okay, like, let him work with Todd Bates for a couple years, let him develop. There's absolutely a world where this is a legit, like, SEC level starter. Like, I firmly believe that. Now, he's going to need time. He's not going to be Jaden Jackson. He's not going to be ready in year one. But if people can be patient with him and he's given the time to develop, I absolutely see that for him. And I think he's another one of these guys that, Jim Nagy and his staff, Todd Bates did the recruiting. Like, it was a very good collaborative effort where they found somebody that they think fits what they're looking for and how they're trying to build this roster. And at the same time is a guy that, he gets what the coaching staff's trying to do. So, again, I think it's a good fit, and I get why OU fans, he doesn't have 5 stars next to his name. Like, I get the hesitancy, I do, but he's a really talented guy.
More than anything, it's just, I think, like, to a reemphasis that I think Todd Bates has this defensive line thing figured out. Like, I can see what they're kind of putting together, and I know that we've talked about it a lot. But from where this group was when he took over to what they have now, combined with Miguel Chavis at the defensive end position, it just has that feel that, like, okay, they know what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball. It's just if this offense can figure itself out, then you build that momentum, and then you maybe try to steal some guys late in the 2026 cycle, and you really set a foundation for what's to come with Jim Nagy and this group in 27, 28, and on.
It feels, Eddie, to me, comparable to, frankly, when Lincoln Riley arrived. And there was Trevor Knight and Cody Thomas and, these guys that were, whatever, college quarterbacks. And within a couple of years, he had a room with Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and, and you're just like,
eventually
that
Jalen
all
Hurts,
worked.
yeah.
So it really is that kind of turnover. Because, I mean, he and Chavis have a room full of, at very least, cup of coffee NFL guys, at the very least.
Josh, anything else real quickly that you wanted to hit on in recruiting?
Headed out to games this week.
Yeah. I've got 2 games this week. Probably going to end up seeing Noah Best and Jalen Brewster go head-to-head. I'm really excited about that. Really get a good feel for Noah because he's facing an absolute monster in Jalen Brewster. So going to get a chance to see that. I think I'm going to see Trey Moore, who we talked about a few weeks ago, Eric Moore's kid out of the Austin area. So it should be it should be a good early week. Going to see Bo Bentley here shortly, Peyton Houston. We should be playing the hits early on here in the season.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's edition. Don't forget, we're going to be out Saturday on the North Oval doing a live broadcast of the Unofficial 40. People were asking, like, does that mean we won't get one next Wednesday? No, it's just an extra pod that we're going to do. I'll come walk back over to the office and get it uploaded before the game. And, 12 to 2, the North Oval. We'll have a big tent. I'm getting messages from a printer right now. We're trying to get something, a table topper, so you know exactly who we are, where we are, that says Sooner Scoop on it. So anyway, thanks, guys. I appreciate it, and can't wait for the first game. We'll talk about it next week, how everything looked. The offense, defense, special teams. We mentioned Tate Sandell today, but he's the starter now at kicker, so he looks good out there at practice. I know that from what we've seen. So thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be back again next week, Saturday, for another edition of the Unofficial 40 podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com.